I just don't get it. I don't get any of it.
What do you mean? You don't get what?
I don't get why we're so obsessed with these humans that are exactly the same. Like, it could be us four sitting there. I just don't get it.
But are you talking about what you mean as royals or as, like, Kim Kardashian? Because for me, they're becoming celebrities.
Well, to me, that's all they are.
The Queen
is their celebrity.
For me, is brilliant.
I love the Queen.
Yeah. For duty, responsibility.
She's always worked really hard, hasn't
I would work hard if the whole country paid for me to have, like, 12 houses and work really hard.
They don't. No, they don't pay for all of the houses. But
just a few. I'm already thinking, you know, like, it's freezing cold outside and people are homeless and these people have, like, houses to spare. And it does sometimes become a little bit frustrating because I don't see the purpose of all of that money going to this entire family.
Looks like there's more than one incredibly wise Solomon in the world.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's Stacey Solomon, based, I think. We can say that Stacey Solomon is based. But yeah, we're going to be talking about the royal family today on Dankpol. And basically, will the Prince Andrew scandal hurt the monarchy? And I, for one, hope it does.
Wow.
Yeah, and it is for those reasons that Stacey Solomon outlined. And we'll delve a bit deeper into her reasoning there. But first, of course, let's explain what happened last week regarding Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre. So they reached a financial settlement, Michael, And I'm just going to go through a bit of the background as to how this incident came to the fore, I guess. Not just in terms of actually in the United States courts, but in terms of into the British public's minds, because Prince Andrew has become, you know, a kind of central figure in Britain these last few years. And it is because of, do you remember the Newsnight interview, Michael?
Oh, yes. How could we all forget?
Yeah, so November 2019, this is when it all really started. But of course, Prince Andrew, rumours about him and Virginia Giuffre and Jeffrey Epstein, you know, were swirling for years before then. But in November 2019, the BBC's Newsnight had an interview between Andrew and Emily Matlis, in which he recounted his friendship with Epstein for the first time. In the interview, Prince Andrew says he met Epstein in 1999 through Ghislaine Maxwell. This contradicts comments made by the Duke's private secretary in 2011, who claims the two met in the early 90s. The Duke also said he did not regret his friendship with Epstein, saying the people that I met and the opportunities that I was given to learn either by him or because of him were actually very useful.
Wow, that's...
Yeah, yeah, very, very, very useful. So, yeah, I mean, if you wanted to have sex with children, who better to go to than Jeffrey Epstein?
What an endorsement.
In the interview, Andrew denied having sex with Giuffre on March the 10th, 2001, as she had accused because he had been at home with his daughters after attending a party at Pizza Express in Woking. So there you go. Prince Andrew also added that Giuffre's claims about dancing with him at a club in London while he was sweaty were false due to him temporarily losing the ability to sweat after an adrenaline overdose during the Falklands. So,
wow.
I remember that. That was one of the best things about it. He couldn't sweat, because of an adrenaline overdose during the Falklands.
You know, pigs can't sweat. That's actually true.
Well, so... maybe Prince Andrew's a pig then.
Yes, yeah, radical theory.
Yeah, maybe. So Andrew also admitted to staying in Epstein's mansion for 3 days in 2010 after Epstein's conviction for sex offences against a minor, describing the location as a convenient place to stay. The Duke said he had met Epstein for the sole purpose of breaking off any future relationships with him. So he travels all the way to New York to stay with Epstein instead of just a quick call, you know. And he has to stay there for 3 days to do that. Okay. He also said that he would be willing to testify under oath regarding his association with Epstein. Maybe one day we'll get to see that. Probably not.
Yeah.
Anyway, so although this is great, so he has this interview with Newsnight in 2019. Although the Duke was pleased with the outcome of the interview, giving Matlis and the Newsnight team a tour of Buckingham Palace, it received negative reaction from both the media and the public, both in and outside of the UK. Yeah, that's the thing. One of his advisors resigned before this interview was aired because it was such a car crash. And, you know, he thought it went well. That's the crazy thing. I've listed all the stupid shit he said in that interview. He thought it went well.
Yeah.
So the interview was described as a nuclear explosion level bad and the worst PR crisis for the royal family since the death of Princess Diana. Experts and those with ties to Buckingham Palace said that the interview, its fallout and the suspension of the Duke's royal duties were unprecedented. So that's what happened, over 2 years ago. That was crazy when that interview had. I have no idea why Prince Andrew agreed to do it, but he did, and then it catapulted him into the mainstream in terms of the stories that were talked about in British life, I guess, overall. And so in August 2021, Virginia Giuffre then sued Prince Andrew in the Federal District Court for the Southern District of New York, accusing him of sexual assault and intentional infliction of emotional distress. And then on the 29th of October 2021, Andrew's lawyers filed a response stating that their client denies Giuffre's false allegations. Yeah, indeed. So Andrew basically said he never even met Virginia Giuffre, or doesn't remember meeting her, not to his recollection. So, there's no chance he sexually abused her when she was a kid. But then on the 12th of January 2022, Judge Kaplan rejected Andrew's attempts to dismiss the case, allowing the sexual abuse lawsuit to proceed. And then finally, in February 2022, which is where we are now, the case was settled out of court for, I think the Telegraph reported, about £12 million, Michael.
Yeah.
So would you give £12 million to someone who you don't recall meeting and definitely didn't sexually abuse them? Would you do that, Michael?
No, I think what I'd do is just very easily be taken to court and prove that I had not done anything wrong. I mean, that seems like a much cheaper alternative, especially seeing as it shouldn't be too difficult in a court of law to prove that you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, I know, it should do, especially, when you're a fucking prince and you can hire the best lawyers, anywhere in the world. And of course, Michael, that £12 million that was given to Virginia Giuffre, there is some outrage about what Prince Andrew did, but at least those £12 million that was his money, right?
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, it was his actions, his responsibility. I'm sure he would have paid for it with his own personal money. That would only be fair. Yeah,
with his own personal money, and of course, how did he get his own personal money, Michael?
Well, let me think. I suppose he probably got it from all of from meritocracy and displaying how hardworking he was. That's what I would assume.
Yeah. I do wonder if the royal family have like a paedophile insurance, bank account. It's like, okay, if any of us get caught doing anything that we shouldn't do, we can dip into this account. And Prince Andrew really stretched the coffers with this one. But that's the thing, £12 million, and of course, where did the royal family get their money from?
Yeah, from the taxpayer. So basically, yeah, I mean, that's literally it. Like, the taxpayer is funding a paedophile, paying his way out of responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. So this is one of the reasons why the monarchy needs to be abolished as soon as possible. Because it's not just, the ridiculousness of the whole situation. You can create scenarios like this, and this, you don't even need to create it. It's literally what happened. Effectively, taxpayer money was being used to pay off the debts of somebody who had been, accused of sexually abusing a child. And this person is free from any repercussions in his public life. He's not like a politician who has to resign, and give away all his, he's lost his honours and his titles as Prince Andrew, but that, of course, in the grand scheme of things, means nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the FBI may still be interested in him because, of course, this was a civil case. This wasn't a criminal case. And if the FBI wanted to extradite him on, for criminal charges, and we predicted this, actually.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, in our prediction video, we said, well, it's probably not going to happen. And why? Because he's a prince. But he's basically, part of the royal family, so he's part of, the British government, almost. Which is he is free from all repercussions. He can commit a crime, sexually abusing a child, and basically admit it by having to pay, $12 million to Virginia Giuffre, and just no consequences at all. Does that sound like a good system, Michael, with this monarchy?
No, yeah, and that's obviously what you're saying about the fact that, of course, nobody's denying that elected officials screw around with money a lot. But the point is, in this case, it's not even that this is a scandal, legally, because the law, as it's set up, is we, the taxpayer, pay the royal family money to do nothing, and it's just their money. They can do with it whatever whatever they please, whether it's having a massive party or paying off their paedophile guilt money. And yeah, that's the reality. Like, if an elected politician did this, it would of course be considered a massive scandal. But the funny thing is, legally, the royal family gets paid this wage by the taxpayer. They can do whatever they like with it, and that just shows how screwed up this is as a system.
Yeah, exactly. And also that politician would face accountability.
Yes.
They would not be protected by the royal family or by, just by being in government, because they'd resign. they would resign, and then the law would do whatever, it would be appropriate. Well, you'd hope that'd be the case. But we know there's no chance of Prince Andrew ever, he's not going to get extradited to the United States because he's a member of the royal family. And again, the royal family have endless amounts of money, so whatever he does wrong, oh yeah, just send £12 million this way to Virginia Giuffre, and yeah, let's just get rid of this problem. And I don't know, Michael, doesn't seem great. It makes me pretty angry, I have to say. It makes me pretty angry. What would you say?
Yeah, I definitely think that you're right to feel angry, and I think obviously lots of people have been feeling angry about this specific case. Obviously, there are some people who don't relate it specifically to recognizing the problem with the monarchy as an institution, but this is something where it's really made a lot of people realize something's wrong, even if they're not fully willing to admit exactly what that problem is.
Yeah, I mean, you say people are saying, oh, it's not a problem with the monarchy, it's just like this one person, it's a black sheep, He's the black sheep of the family, I guess. And I could see some logic to that, apart from the fact that, hey, it doesn't matter, he's a black sheep, he's a sheep in this context, which means he can get away with stuff, He's a member of the royal family, so he can do whatever he likes, and that's a problem in itself. But also, he doesn't seem to really be the quote-unquote black sheep, because I saw this headline in the Times, as you can see on screen, here it is. Andrew Deal will keep Virginia Giuffre quiet during Queen's Platinum Jubilee. So the sex case settlement protects royal family by gagging accuser until later in the year. So basically, Virginia Giuffre will have to wait until after the Queen has finished celebrating her 70th anniversary on the throne. And that is incredibly important. We wouldn't want, Prince Andrew's noncing to get in the way of this incredible celebration. And indeed, this was repeated by BBC royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell, which we will get onto later. Something else he said, which was fun. But basically, he assessed Prince Andrew's settlement as, quote, a huge relief to the royal family in a very special Jubilee year.
I heard that quote, and that's just, it's so funny, because it's just like, we can't let the obvious evidence of how terrible the system is get in the way of us celebrating the continuation of the system. Our kid, well, the Queen's child, has basically admitted that he is a paedophile. But you know what? At least we can celebrate this very special Jubilee year. We can move on now. Again, like, no reflection, just, they wanted to sweep it under the carpet. And unfortunately, the case with Jeffrey Epstein, of course, his notoriety, the situation became untenable, and they had to kind of, basically pay up. But yeah, they didn't really care. I mean, they probably knew about what Prince Andrew had done for years. Yeah, they probably knew about this for years, and they just didn't do anything about it. Which is why the whole institution, because of the lack of accountability, again, is just shit, and it should not exist. And of course, well, the question that this video posed, Michael, was, will the Prince Andrew scandal hurt the royal family? Now, the Queen dying is a possibility this year. You know what? She might have actually been dead. She might have been dead for 3 months, mightn't she? She might. That is true. Yeah, for all we know.
Because no one's heard from her. And remember that headline? She's entered a new phase or whatever.
Well, I heard there was a headline basically talking about. In fact, I think you mentioned it one time, which was basically that she had that quote about thinking Camilla should be queen after she's dead.
Yeah, after she's dead. And basically, it does seem like she might die at some point. Maybe she's very ill, I'm not sure, but it might happen very soon. And then, of course, being replaced by Charles and Camilla, who are quite unpopular. And then you have Harry and Meghan, saying that the royal family treated Meghan differently because of the colour of Meghan's skin. And, of course, that could hurt the royals as well, along with, the Queen, who's incredibly popular, dying. And you add on, of course, this Prince Andrew scandal. And that, I think, is the most significant of those three, of course.
Yes.
Yes. Will it actually hurt the royal family? Will this scandal and those other events happening actually damage the royal family? Because if the royal family had like perfect approval ratings and everything, it wouldn't be so bad, I think. But they're a bit damaged, and now this coming in, basically the son of the queen is a nonce and has gotten away with it. That certainly seems to be the case. Hey, the British public who have overwhelmingly supported the royal family for a long time, maybe that doesn't stay the same in the future, Michael. What do we think?
No, yeah, I think ultimately, I mean, the reality is that I've always thought that it's pretty much impossible that we'd ever get rid of the Queen, because the Queen has been in charge of this country for so long. She's like just so associated with this country, and lots of people have kind of a fond association with her. I mean, you heard in the opening clip the woman saying that she loves the Queen. She thinks she's a really hard worker. And like people do have that idea that I guess because the Queen was around during a lot of like hardships for this country, like obviously, well, she's basically been in charge since 1952. She's been around for so long. People have this idea of like, oh, her reign basically defines the second half of the 20th century and, like so much of recent history for the UK. So I think that positive association will be there while the Queen's there. But like you say, the big thing is that eventually the Queen is going to die, potentially very soon, and you're just going to have this messed up family and this bonkers institution left. And I do think it's quite likely that, the monarchy will become significantly less popular when the Queen is no longer around.
Yeah, but okay, you're talking about the Queen there, but what about Prince Andrew? Because here's the thing. This, in a lot of people's minds, because they don't like Charles and Camilla, but if this in a lot of people's minds turns their perception of the royal family into, oh no, this, it's a bunch of weirdos in this family, and of course we love the Queen, blah, 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 but, a bunch of weirdos, but I guess, it's tradition to, this institution, like, protects, like, the worst people, and lets people who are, horrible people like Prince Andrew seemingly just get away with doing whatever they can. I mean, that is a different level, isn't it? That, to me, see, here's the thing. I guess the Queen going could, like, weaken the defences, basically, of, like, the royal family as an institution, but it can still stand up. But then something like this Prince Andrew scandal comes in and, like, basically batters these defences, which are already weakened. And then you could have a situation where, some of the British public then turns, because I think that the polling is about 60% to about 35% like support the royal family. But if that dips by, I don't know, 10%, which it could do in the near future, then you got yourself almost a 50-50 issue there, potentially.
Yeah.
And I think, the question, I guess, is, the overall question, in our lifetimes, Michael, do you think we will get rid of the monarchy? Because certainly our generation, we do not like the monarchy to anywhere near the levels of, people who are basically 70 or 60 plus. And, with the Harry and Meghan racism scandal, with Prince Andrew, with the Queen not, being the figurehead anymore, it is possible that people of our generation, when we're forming opinions about the royal family, could see what is happening and be like, oh no, this institution needs to die. And certainly, it won't happen, of course, in the near future, but at some point the royal family could be fighting for its life. I certainly hope that would be the case, but maybe I'm being too optimistic. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously there's just loads of variables. And of course, there is the fact that while obviously people of our generation are more anti-monarchy, it's also true that I think people get more conservatives as they get older. I mean, think about how many people who are like old now were like, hippies in the 60s. The reality is that people aren't, it's not as if all the baby boomers were born old farts.
They can be hippies, but they can still support the Queen.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think it's quite likely that like some people, obviously if there was a vote amongst kind of like millennials today, then definitely I think the monarchy would go. But obviously I think as some millennials get older, maybe some of them will become more conservative. However,
maybe. But the point is though, like, okay, so if a bunch of young people today voted on the monarchy, maybe it would be abolished if it was just people under the age of 30, say. But would that have happened 10 years ago? Because I don't think it would.
I get you. I do think it is changing.
Yeah, and that is how the Prince Andrew situation, I think, has hurt the royal family. It definitely has. It has hurt the monarchy in this country. And I don't think really it seems very hard for them to like stop this momentum going against them, because of course the Queen, that's her dying, that's going to be potentially a big change. And then of course every scandal, every so often there's a big scandal involving them, because it's a stupid institution. I mean, you had Diana 25 years ago. Prince Andrew nowadays, who knows what the next big scandal will be, but it will. And this Prince Andrew one is definitely the most significant though, and keeps on, we just get that a little bit closer to, a republic. And again, I'm not happy that this has happened. Like, I don't want Prince Andrew to abuse people and undermine the monarchy. But the point is, as long as a monarchy exists, you will get these incidents. And again, there's always going to be horrible people in the world doing this kind of stuff, unfortunately. But at least those people, they will be subject to, accountability. They will have to face the repercussions and won't just be able to live a lavish lifestyle with like no consequences at all. And I think hopefully more and more people see it that way as well. And this has opened a lot of people's eyes on the monarchy, at least in the younger generation, Michael. But anyway, do you want to know what Andrew could do to rectify the situation, Michael?
Yeah, I do actually. Is it give more money to people?
Yeah, literally. Yes. Nicholas Witchell, he's at it again, Michael. He had this take on what Prince Andrew could do to get back in the public's good graces. Let's hear him.
What of Andrew's future? Could there possibly be a route back to a public role? I have to say it's hard right now to see one. He's been shown to have had such poor judgment, such poor choice of friends. And the brutal fact is, would anyone actually want him? Would any charities, any regiments and so on want to be associated with him after all of this, for all that there's no admission of liability? Perhaps the answer is, as he says at the end of this statement, for him, as he says, to pledge to support the fight against the evils of sex trafficking and by supporting its victims. Perhaps that offers the best, perhaps even the only route back for him. Sure. Okay.
So do you see that happening, Michael? Prince Andrew campaigning against sex. I mean, he donated to Virginia Giuffre's like charity, but becoming a stalwart against the sex trafficking trade would be quite a turn, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is, it's just you'd almost think it would be a nice redemption, except for the fact it would be so obviously just completely cynical.
Yeah, but that's how deluded like people like Nicholas Witchell are, and the whole royal family, I guess, establishment or clique. They think, oh yeah, we can brush this under the carpet, we can move on. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen, pal. I really don't. And I think this is like one of our positive endings. Of course, we're not happy what happened, what Prince Andrew did, but it's like, yeah, actually, the royal family could actually get hurt by this. I think it actually could. I'm going to be positive for once. And for no reason at all, Michael, I'm going to end this video with a picture of a guillotine. Just there, as you can see on screen. It's just there. So make of that what you will. Anyway.
No, yeah, we've all got to be optimistic.
Anyway, see you next time.
Bye.